What if I told you that zinc alone is not enough to regrow your hair, and in some cases, taking zinc by itself could actually slow down your progress? Most people think zinc is the magic mineral for hair growth. And yes, zinc is extremely important, but hair regrowth doesn't happen because of one nutrient. It happens because of a precise micronutrient cocktail working together inside your body. If even one of these key nutrients is missing, your hair follicles cannot function properly. They weaken, they shrink, and eventually they stop producing strong, thick hair. Hair is not just cosmetic. Hair is one of the fastest growing tissues in the body. That means your hair follicles require constant energy, constant repair, and constant nutrient delivery. When your body senses a nutrient deficiency, it prioritizes survival, not appearance. Hair becomes non-essential. So the follicles enter a resting phase, hair shedding increases, and regrowth slows down or stops completely. Zinc plays a critical role in this process. Zinc helps regulate over 300 enzymes in the body. Many of these enzymes control protein synthesis, DNA repair, and cell division. These are the exact processes hair follicles depend on to grow new strands. Zinc also helps regulate oil glands around the follicle. Without enough zinc, follicles become weak, inflamed, and more prone to shedding. But zinc does not work alone. Zinc depends on other micronutrients to activate enzymes, protect follicles, and maintain the hair growth cycle. One of the most important partners of zinc is copper. This surprises many people. Copper is essential for forming strong hair structure because copper helps create crosslinks in keratin. Keratin is the protein your hair is made of. Without enough copper, hair becomes weak, thin, and fragile. Copper also plays a key role in melanin production. Melanin is the pigment that gives your hair its color. When copper is deficient, hair can lose pigment and turn gray prematurely. Many people unknowingly create copper deficiency by taking high doses of zinc without balancing copper. Zinc and copper compete for absorption. Too much zinc blocks copper. This imbalance weakens hair structure and slows regrowth. Another critical partner in this micronutrient cocktail is iron. Iron delivers oxygen to the hair follicle through red blood cells. Hair follicles are extremely metabolically active. Without oxygen, they cannot produce energy. Without energy, they cannot grow hair. Even mild iron deficiency can push hair follicles into the resting phase. This leads to increased shedding and reduced density. Iron deficiency is one of the most common causes of hair loss worldwide, especially in women. When iron levels drop, the follicle receives less oxygen, less energy, and less support. Over time, follicles shrink and produce thinner strands. But iron itself requires another nutrient to work properly, and that nutrient is vitamin C. Vitamin C dramatically improves iron absorption. Without vitamin C, much of the iron you consume cannot be absorbed efficiently. Vitamin C also helps produce collagen. Collagen strengthens the scalp structure surrounding hair follicles. Strong scalp support helps anchor hair securely and improves follicle health. Vitamin C is also a powerful antioxidant. Hair follicles are constantly exposed to oxidative stress. This stress comes from inflammation, poor diet, environmental toxins, and aging. Oxidative stress damages follicle cells and accelerates hair thinning. Vitamin C neutralizes this damage and protects the follicle. Another essential micronutrient in the hair growth cocktail is selenium. Selenium activates antioxidant enzymes that protect hair follicles from damage. One of selenium's key roles is supporting thyroid function. The thyroid controls metabolism, including hair growth speed. When thyroid function slows, hair growth slows. Hair becomes thin, dry, and weak. Selenium helps convert thyroid hormones into their active form. Without this conversion, hair follicles receive weaker metabolic signals. This leads to slower regrowth and increased shedding. Biotin is another nutrient often associated with hair growth. Biotin helps convert nutrients into usable energy. Hair follicles require massive amounts of energy to produce hair continuously. Biotin also strengthens keratin structure. This improves hair thickness, resilience, and durability. But biotin works best when combined with other B vitamins. Vitamin B12 and folate are especially important. These vitamins help produce red blood cells. Red blood cells deliver oxygen and nutrients directly to hair follicles. Without proper oxygen delivery, follicles Weaken. Magnesium is another overlooked mineral that supports hair regrowth. Magnesium activates hundreds of enzymes involved in protein production and cellular repair. Magnesium also helps reduce inflammation. Chronic inflammation damages hair follicles and disrupts the growth cycle. Magnesium supports healthy circulation. Improved circulation ensures follicles receive oxygen, nutrients, and hormonal signals needed for growth. Vitamin A is also essential, but it must be balanced. Vitamin A helps regulate cell turnover. This includes the cells in hair follicles. Proper turnover supports healthy hair production, but too much vitamin A can actually cause hair loss. Balance is the key. Vitamin D is one of the most important nutrients for hair follicle activation. Vitamin D helps activate dormant follicles. Many people with hair loss have low vitamin D levels. Without vitamin D, follicles may remain in the resting phase longer than normal. Vitamin D also supports immune balance. When the immune system is imbalanced, it can attack hair follicles, weakening them and slowing growth. Another essential nutrient is iodine. Iodine supports thyroid hormone production. Thyroid hormones regulate hair growth speed and follicle strength. Without enough iodine, hair becomes thin, brittle, and slow growing. Protein is also critical because hair is made primarily of protein. Without adequate protein intake, even perfect micronutrient levels cannot produce strong hair. This is why focusing on only one nutrient rarely works. Hair growth requires synergy. Zinc activates enzymes. Copper strengthens structure. Iron delivers oxygen. Vitamin C protects follicles. Selenium supports thyroid function. Biotin supports keratin production. Magnesium supports repair. Vitamin D activates follicles. When these nutrients work together, follicles receive everything they need to grow strong, thick hair. Many people make the mistake of taking high doses of one nutrient while ignoring others. This creates imbalances. Hair growth slows instead of improving. The goal is balance, not excess. The best approach is to support your body with a complete micronutrient foundation. Nutrient-dense foods provide this cocktail naturally. Foods like eggs, meat, fish, leafy greens, nuts, and seeds provide multiple nutrients working together. Hair regrowth is not instant because the hair cycle takes time. Hair follicles must repair, reactivate, and begin producing stronger strands. This process can take several months, but when the micronutrient cocktail is complete, follicles recover faster and produce healthier hair. The key takeaway is this: zinc is powerful, but zinc is not enough by itself. Hair regrowth depends on a network of micronutrients working together. When you support this entire system, you create the ideal environment for hair follicles to thrive. This is how you move beyond zinc and unlock the full potential of your hair regrowth. Most people searching for hair regrowth eventually discover zinc. They read that zinc deficiency causes hair loss. They learn that zinc supports hair follicle repair. They start taking zinc supplements expecting fast, dramatic regrowth. But then something unexpected happens. Progress is slow, inconsistent, or sometimes non-existent. This leads to frustration and confusion. The reason is simple, but rarely explained clearly. Hair regrowth does not depend on zinc alone. Hair regrowth depends on micronutrient synergy. It depends on a network of vitamins and minerals working together in precise coordination inside your hair follicles. Your hair follicles are among the most metabolically active structures in your body. Every single strand of hair is produced by a follicle that is constantly dividing cells, producing proteins, consuming energy, and repairing itself. This process happens continuously, day and night. Unlike many tissues that rest for long periods, hair follicles operate in cycles that demand constant nutritional support. Because of this high activity, hair follicles are extremely sensitive to micronutrient deficiencies. Zinc plays an essential role in this system. Zinc activates enzymes involved in DNA replication, protein synthesis, and cell division. These are the fundamental processes required to produce new hair cells. Without zinc, follicles cannot divide properly. Hair growth slows, weakens, and eventually stops. But zinc is only one piece of a much larger system. Zinc acts like a key that turns on machinery, but that machinery still needs structural materials, energy, oxygen, and protection. Without those additional components, zinc alone cannot produce strong hair. This is where micronutrient synergy becomes critical. Micronutrient synergy means nutrients depend on each other. They support each other's absorption, activation, and function. Hair follicles do not use nutrients in isolation, they use them in coordinated combinations. Each nutrient plays a specialized role, and when one is missing, the entire system weakens. For example, zinc activates enzymes that build keratin. Keratin is the protein that forms your hair strand. But keratin production also requires amino acids from protein, iron to deliver oxygen for energy, vitamin B6 to assist protein metabolism, and biotin to strengthen keratin structure. If zinc is present but iron is low, energy production drops. If energy production drops, keratin synthesis slows. If keratin synthesis slows, hair becomes thinner. Hair follicles also require copper. Copper helps form structural bonds within keratin fibers. These bonds give hair its strength and elasticity. Zinc and copper must remain balanced. Too much zinc can reduce copper absorption. When copper levels drop, hair structure weakens. Hair becomes fragile and prone to breakage. This demonstrates how taking zinc alone without supporting nutrients can create imbalance rather than improvement. Hair follicles also depend on oxygen delivery. Oxygen is delivered by red blood cells, and red blood cells require iron, vitamin B12, and folate for production. Zinc cannot deliver oxygen. Only iron and B vitamins can support that process. Without oxygen, follicles cannot produce energy efficiently. Without energy, hair growth slows. Energy production itself requires magnesium. Magnesium activates enzymes involved in ATP production. ATP is the energy currency of your cells. Hair follicles consume large amounts of ATP to produce hair continuously. Zinc may activate certain enzymes, but magnesium supports the energy system that powers those enzymes. Vitamin D plays another essential role. Vitamin D helps activate dormant hair follicles. Many follicles exist in a resting state. Vitamin D helps signal follicles to enter the active growth phase. Without vitamin D, follicles may remain inactive. Zinc cannot activate dormant follicles alone. Vitamin D is required for that activation signal. Selenium is also part of this micronutrient network. Selenium supports antioxidant systems that protect follicles from oxidative stress. Hair follicles generate metabolic waste during growth. This waste can damage cells if not neutralized. Selenium helps activate antioxidant enzymes that protect follicles from damage. Zinc also supports antioxidant defense, but selenium strengthens this protective system. Vitamin C supports collagen production. Collagen forms the structural foundation of the scalp. Hair follicles are embedded within this collagen-rich environment. Without strong collagen support, follicles become less stable. Vitamin C also improves iron absorption. This improves oxygen delivery to follicles. Zinc cannot perform these functions. Biotin supports keratin infrastructure. Biotin strengthens the internal structure of keratin proteins. This improves thickness and durability. Zinc helps initiate keratin production, but biotin strengthens the final product. This demonstrates an important principle. Hair growth is not controlled by one nutrient. Hair growth is controlled by a coordinated network. Each nutrient contributes something unique. Hair follicles also face constant environmental stress. Inflammation, toxins, poor diet, and aging produce oxidative stress. This stress damages follicle cells. Antioxidant nutrients like zinc, selenium, vitamin C, and vitamin E work together to neutralize this damage. No single antioxidant provides complete protection. The body relies on multiple antioxidant systems working together. The hair growth cycle itself involves multiple phases. The anagen phase is the active growth phase. The catagen phase is the transition phase. The telogen phase is the resting phase. Micronutrients regulate these phases. Zinc supports cell division during anagen. Iron supports oxygen delivery throughout growth. Vitamin D helps trigger transition from telogen to anagen. Magnesium supports enzyme activity during all phases. If even one nutrient is missing, the cycle becomes disrupted. Hair may enter the resting phase prematurely. Shedding increases. Regrowth slows. This is why people with nutrient deficiencies often experience hair thinning. The follicles are not dead, they are undernourished. When proper micronutrient balance is restored, follicles often recover. Another important factor is nutrient absorption. Nutrients must be absorbed properly to be useful. Vitamin D improves calcium absorption. Vitamin C improves iron absorption. Magnesium supports vitamin D activation. Zinc supports enzyme activation that allows nutrients to function properly. These interactions demonstrate how nutrients support each other. Your body also prioritizes nutrient use. When nutrients are scarce, your body directs them toward essential organs like the brain and heart. Hair is considered non-essential. This means hair follicles receive nutrients only when sufficient levels exist. Even mild deficiencies can affect hair before affecting other organs. Hormonal balance also depends on micronutrients. Thyroid hormones regulate hair growth speed. Selenium and iodine support thyroid function. Zinc also supports thyroid hormone activity. These nutrients work together to maintain proper thyroid signaling. Stress can deplete micronutrients. Chronic stress increases demand for magnesium, zinc, and vitamin C. This depletion weakens follicles. Supporting the full micronutrient network helps counteract stress effects. Blood circulation is another important factor. Nutrients must reach follicles through blood flow. Iron supports oxygen transport. Magnesium supports circulation by relaxing blood vessels. Vitamin C supports blood vessel integrity. Inflammation can damage follicles. Anti-inflammatory nutrients like zinc, magnesium, and vitamin D help reduce inflammation. This protects follicle health. Cellular repair also depends on micronutrients. Zinc supports DNA repair. Vitamin C supports tissue repair. Magnesium supports enzyme systems involved in repair. Hair thickness also depends on nutrient availability. Well-nourished follicles produce thicker strands. Undernourished follicles produce thinner strands. Many people focus on single supplements because they want a simple solution, but hair growth is not controlled by one switch. It is controlled by an entire system. Think of hair follicles like factories. Zinc turns on machines. Iron delivers oxygen for power. Magnesium provides energy activation. Biotin strengthens production quality. Vitamin D activates production cycles. Selenium protects machinery from damage. Vitamin C supports structural stability. If one component is missing, factory output drops. This is why balanced nutrition produces better results than isolated supplementation. Whole foods naturally provide micronutrient combinations. Eggs provide biotin, zinc, and protein. Meat provides iron, zinc, and B vitamins. Leafy greens provide magnesium and folate. Nuts provide selenium and magnesium. These natural combinations support micronutrient synergy. Hair regrowth takes time because follicles must rebuild. The growth cycle moves slowly, but when micronutrient balance improves, follicles gradually recover. The most important concept to understand is that hair follicles function as part of a system. That system depends on multiple nutrients working together. Zinc is essential, but zinc alone cannot provide everything required. Micronutrient synergy ensures follicles receive activation signals, structural materials, energy support, oxygen delivery, and protection from damage. When this complete network is supported, follicles function optimally. They produce stronger, thicker, healthier hair. This is why the real solution is not zinc alone. The real solution is supporting the full micronutrient cocktail that allows zinc and all partner nutrients to work together in harmony. When people think about hair regrowth, they often focus on one nutrient, hoping it will solve everything. Zinc gets most of the attention, and while zinc is extremely important, it cannot do the job alone. Hair follicles are living, active structures that depend on a continuous supply of oxygen, energy, structural support, and activation signals. This is why critical partner nutrients like copper, iron, vitamin D, biotin, selenium, and magnesium are essential. Each one plays a specific and irreplaceable role in supporting oxygen delivery, follicle activation, thyroid balance, and the structural strength of your hair. To understand why these nutrients matter so much, you first need to understand how hair follicles function. At the base of every hair saint, rand is a hair follicle. Inside the follicle are rapidly dividing cells. These cells multiply, mature, and form the hair shaft. This process requires constant energy, constant oxygen, and constant nutrient supply. If any of these requirements are missing, the follicle weakens. Iron is one of the most critical nutrients for oxygen delivery. Oxygen is transported through the bloodstream by red blood cells. These red blood cells contain hemoglobin, and hemoglobin depends on iron to function. Without enough iron, your blood cannot carry sufficient oxygen. Hair follicles are extremely sensitive to oxygen levels. When oxygen supply drops, the follicle slows down its activity. The growth phase shortens and the resting phase lengthens. This leads to increased shedding and slower regrowth. Hair becomes thinner over time. Even mild iron deficiency can significantly affect hair growth because follicles require continuous oxygen to produce energy. Energy production happens inside the mitochondria, and oxygen is essential for this process. Without oxygen, energy production becomes inefficient, and follicle performance declines. Vitamin B12 and folate also support oxygen delivery by helping your body produce healthy red blood cells. These nutrients work alongside iron. Without sufficient B12 and folate, red blood cell production becomes impaired. This further reduces oxygen delivery to follicles. Copper plays a completely different but equally important role. Copper is essential for forming strong connective tissue and structural proteins. Your hair is made primarily of keratin, but keratin requires proper cross-linking to become strong and resilient. Copper activates enzymes that form these cross-links. Without copper, hair structure becomes weak. Hair may grow, but it lacks strength. It becomes fragile, brittle, and prone to breakage. This can create the appearance of slow growth, even when follicles are active. Copper also supports the production of melanin, the pigment that gives hair its color. When copper levels are insufficient, melanin production decreases. This can lead to premature graying. Copper also supports iron metabolism. It helps the body use iron efficiently. This means copper indirectly supports oxygen delivery by helping iron function properly. This demonstrates the interconnected nature of micronutrients. Vitamin D plays a powerful role in follicle activation. Hair follicles do not constantly produce hair. They cycle through phases. One of these phases is the resting phase, called the telogen phase. During this phase, the follicle remains inactive. Vitamin D helps trigger follicles to exit this resting phase and re-enter the active growth phase, known as the anagen phase. Without sufficient vitamin D, follicles may remain dormant longer than normal. This leads to reduced hair density. Fewer follicles actively produce hair at any given time. Vitamin D also supports the function of specialized receptors in hair follicles. These receptors are necessary for initiating new growth cycles. Vitamin D also plays a role in immune regulation. The immune system must remain balanced to protect follicles without attacking them. When immune balance is disrupted, inflammation can damage follicles. Vitamin D helps maintain immune stability and reduces inflammatory damage. Biotin is another essential nutrient that directly supports hair rupture. Biotin helps produce keratin, the protein that forms hair. Keratin production requires precise enzyme activity, and biotin supports these enzymes. Biotin also improves the internal structure of keratin fibers. Hair becomes thicker, more resilient, and less prone to breakage when biotin levels are sufficient. Biotin also supports energy metabolism. Hair follicles require continuous energy, and biotin helps convert nutrients into usable energy. Selenium plays a critical protective role. Hair follicles are exposed to oxidative stress. Oxidative stress occurs when unstable molecules damage cells. This damage weakens follicles and disrupts growth. Selenium activates antioxidant enzymes that neutralize these harmful molecules. Selenium also supports thyroid function. The thyroid gland produces hormones that regulate metabolism. Hair growth speed depends heavily on metabolic activity. When thyroid function slows, hair growth slows. Hair may become thin, dry, and weak. Selenium helps convert thyroid hormones into their active form. This ensures proper metabolic signaling. Proper thyroid function ensures follicles receive the signals needed to grow consistently. Magnesium supports energy production and enzyme activation. Hundreds of enzymes in your body depend on magnesium. Many of these enzymes are involved in protein synthesis, DNA repair, and cellular energy production. Hair follicles require continuous protein synthesis to produce keratin. Magnesium supports this process. Magnesium also supports ATP production. ATP is the primary energy molecule used by cells. Hair follicles consume large amounts of ATP. Without magnesium, ATP production becomes inefficient. Reduces the energy available for hair growth. Magnesium also supports healthy blood circulation. Proper circulation ensures nutrients reach hair follicles efficiently. Magnesium also helps regulate inflammation. Chronic inflammation damages follicles. Magnesium helps calm inflammatory responses, protecting follicle health. Another important role of magnesium is stress regulation. Stress hormones can disrupt the hair growth cycle. Magnesium helps regulate the nervous system and reduces stress hormone activity. This protects follicles from stress-related shedding. These nutrients also support structural strength. Hair strength depends on proper protein formation, proper mineral balance, and proper enzyme function. Copper strengthens structural bonds. Biotin strengthens keratin infrastructure. Magnesium supports protein synthesis. Zinc supports enzyme activation. These nutrients work together to produce strong hair fibers. Hair thickness also depends on follicle health. Healthy follicles produce thicker strands. Weak follicles produce thinner strands. Nutrients determine follicle performance. Thyroid balance is another major factor in hair growth. Thyroid hormones regulate metabolic speed. Selenium supports thyroid hormone activation. Zinc supports thyroid receptor function. Iodine supports thyroid hormone production. Magnesium supports enzyme systems involved in thyroid regulation. When thyroid function is balanced, hair growth remains steady. When thyroid function slows, hair growth slows. Energy production is central to follicle function. Iron delivers oxygen for energy production. Magnesium supports ATP synthesis. Biotin supports energy metabolism. Vitamin B12 supports cellular energy systems. These nutrients ensure follicles have sufficient energy. Hair follicles cannot store energy. They depend on continuous supply. This makes them vulnerable to nutrient deficiencies. Structural integrity is also critical. Copper supports connective tissue strength. Vitamin C supports collagen production. Biotin supports keratin structure. Zinc supports protein synthesis. Protection from damage is another key factor. Selenium supports antioxidant defense. Vitamin C neutralizes free radicals. Zinc supports immune function. Vitamin D regulates inflammation. These protective nutrients prevent damage that weakens follicles. Activation signals are also necessary. Vitamin D activates follicles. Thyroid hormones regulate growth speed. Zinc supports enzyme activation. These signals ensure follicles enter the growth phase properly. Circulation ensures delivery of nutrients. Iron supports oxygen transport. Magnesium supports blood vessel relaxation. Vitamin C supports blood vessel strength. Efficient circulation ensures follicles receive nutrients continuously. Hormonal balance also depends on micronutrients. Zinc supports hormone regulation. Magnesium supports hormone receptor sensitivity. Vitamin D supports endocrine balance. These hormonal effects influence hair growth cycles. Hair regrowth requires coordination between oxygen delivery, energy production, structural support, activation signals, and protection. No single nutrient can perform all these roles. This is why copper, iron, vitamin D, biotin, selenium, and magnesium are essential partners. Each one contributes something unique and necessary. Without iron, follicles lack oxygen. Without copper, hair lacks strength. Without vitamin D, follicles remain inactive. Without biotin, keratin weakens. Without selenium, follicles face oxidative damage. Without magnesium, energy production declines. These nutrients form a coordinated system. They support every stage of hair production. When these nutrients are present in proper balance, follicles function efficiently. They produce thicker, stronger hair. Growth cycles remain consistent. Hair shedding decreases because follicles remain in the growth phase longer. Structural strength improves because keratin is properly formed. Activation signals remain strong because vitamin D and thyroid hormones function properly. This coordinated support allows hair to grow at its full potential. Hair regrowth is not controlled by a single nutrient. It is controlled by a network of essential micronutrients working together to support oxygen delivery, follicle activation, thyroid balance, energy production, and structural integrity. When this micronutrient network is fully supported, hair follicles regain strength, stability, and productivity. One of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to regrow their hair is focusing on a single nutrient while ignoring the bigger picture. They hear that zinc helps hair growth, so they take zinc. They hear that biotin helps hair, so they take biotin. They hear that iron helps hair, so they take iron. But instead of improving, their results are slow, inconsistent, or sometimes even worse. This happens because hair regrowth depends on balance, not excess. Micronutrient imbalances can weaken hair follicles, disrupt the growth cycle, and prevent proper regrowth. A complete micronutrient foundation is what restores follicle health and allows hair to grow thicker and stronger. Your body operates on balance. Every nutrient interacts with other nutrients. When you take too much of one nutrient, it can interfere with others. This creates imbalances that weaken the systems responsible for hair growth. Hair follicles depend on precise coordination between vitamins, minerals, oxygen delivery, energy production, and structural support. When this coordination is disrupted, follicles suffer. Zinc is a perfect example of this principle. Zinc is essential for hair growth because it activates enzymes involved in protein synthesis, DNA repair, and cell division. These processes are necessary for producing new hair strands, but zinc must remain balanced with copper. Zinc and copper compete for absorption in the digestive system. When zinc intake becomes too high, copper absorption decreases. Copper is essential for strengthening hair structure. Copper helps form crosslinks in keratin, the protein that makes up hair. These crosslinks give hair its strength and flexibility. Without enough copper, hair becomes weak, fragile, and prone to breakage. This means taking too much zinc without balancing copper can weaken hair instead of strengthening it. Copper also plays a role in iron metabolism. Without sufficient copper, iron cannot be used effectively. This can reduce oxygen delivery to hair follicles. Oxygen is required for energy production. Without energy, follicles cannot produce strong hair. This demonstrates how excess zinc can indirectly reduce oxygen delivery by interfering with copper. Iron imbalance is another common issue. Iron deficiency reduces oxygen transport, which weakens hair follicles. But excessive iron can also cause problems. Too much iron can increase oxidative stress. Oxidative stress damages follicle cells and accelerates hair thinning. This is why balance is essential. Both deficiency and excess can cause harm. Biotin is often promoted as a hair growth solution. Biotin supports keratin production and strengthens hair structure. But biotin does not work alone. Keratin production also requires protein, zinc, vitamin B6, and other nutrients. Taking biotin without supporting nutrients may not produce significant improvement. Vitamin D imbalance can also affect hair growth. Vitamin D helps activate dormant follicles and supports immune balance. Low vitamin D levels are associated with hair thinning. But excessive vitamin D can disrupt calcium balance and interfere with other nutrient systems. Selenium is essential for thyroid function and antioxidant protection. But excessive selenium can cause hair loss instead of preventing it. This demonstrates the importance of proper balance. Magnesium supports energy production, enzyme activation, and circulation. Magnesium deficiency can weaken hair follicles, but magnesium must also remain balanced with calcium and other minerals. These examples illustrate a critical truth. Hair follicles do not respond to isolated nutrients. They respond to overall micronutrient balance. Hair follicles require oxygen to produce energy. Iron delivers oxygen. Vitamin B12 and folate support red blood cell production. Copper supports iron utilization. Vitamin C improves iron absorption. These nutrients work together to support oxygen delivery. Hair follicles require energy to produce keratin. Magnesium supports ATP production. Biotin supports energy metabolism. Iron supports oxygen delivery for energy production. These nutrients work together to support energy systems. Hair follicles require structural support to produce strong strands. Zinc supports protein synthesis. Copper strengthens keratin structure. Biotin strengthens keratin infrastructure. Vitamin C supports collagen production in the scalp. These nutrients work together to support structure. Hair follicles require activation signals to enter the growth phase. Vitamin D activates follicles. Thyroid hormones regulate growth speed. Selenium supports thyroid hormone activation. Zinc supports hormone receptor function. These nutrients work together to regulate activation. Hair follicles require protection from damage. Selenium supports antioxidant defense. Vitamin C neutralizes free radicals. Zinc supports immune balance. Vitamin E protects cell membranes. These nutrients work together to protect follicles. Hair follicles require circulation to receive nutrients. Iron supports oxygen transport. Magnesium supports blood vessel relaxation. Vitamin C supports blood vessel integrity. These nutrients work together to support circulation. When one nutrient is missing, these systems weaken. When one nutrient is excessive, these systems become imbalanced. Hair loss often occurs because follicles enter the resting phase prematurely. This happens when follicles lack sufficient support. Micronutrient deficiencies signal the body to conserve resources. Hair production slows. The body prioritizes survival over appearance. Nutrients are directed toward essential organs like the brain and heart. Hair follicles receive nutrients only when sufficient levels are available. Chronic stress can worsen micronutrient imbalances. Stress increases demand for magnesium, zinc, and vitamin C. Stress hormones can disrupt the hair growth cycle. This increases shedding. Inflammation also damages follicles. Inflammation interferes with nutrient delivery and disrupts follicle function. Anti-inflammatory nutrients like magnesium, zinc, and vitamin D help reduce inflammation. Hormonal imbalance can also disrupt hair growth. Thyroid hormones regulate metabolism. Nutrients like selenium, iodine, zinc, and magnesium support thyroid function. Poor diet is a major cause of micronutrient imbalance. Processed foods lack essential nutrients. Nutrient deficiencies develop over time. Hair follicles weaken gradually. Restoring micronutrient balance requires providing all essential nutrients in proper proportions. This allows follicles to recover. When balance is restored, oxygen delivery improves. Energy production improves. Structural strength improves. Activation signals improve. Protection improves. Hair follicles begin to function normally again. Hair regrowth takes time because follicles must repair themselves. Damaged follicles require consistent nutrient support to recover. Hair growth cycles last several months. New hair must grow gradually. Many people expect immediate results, but hair regrowth is a slow biological process. Consistent micronutrient support allows follicles to rebuild strength over time. Hair becomes thicker because keratin production improves. Hair becomes stronger because structural integrity improves. Hair becomes healthier because oxidative damage eases. Shedding decreases. Because follicles remain in the growth phase longer. Micronutrient balance also supports scalp health. The scalp provides the environment for follicle function. Healthy scalp circulation improves nutrient delivery. Collagen production strengthens scalp structure. Vitamin C supports collagen production. Copper supports connective tissue formation. Balanced nutrition supports all these processes simultaneously. Whole foods naturally provide balanced micronutrients. Eggs provide biotin, zinc, and protein. Meat provides iron, zinc, and B vitamins. Vegetables provide magnesium and vitamin C. Nuts provide selenium and magnesium. These natural combinations support micronutrient balance. The goal is not excessive supplementation. The goal is restoring balance. Hair follicles respond best when they receive complete nutritional support. Single nutrient supplementation may correct one deficiency but create another imbalance. Balanced micronutrient intake supports the entire hair growth system. Healthy follicles produce thicker, stronger hair. Healthy follicles remain active longer. Healthy follicles resist damage more effectively. Micronutrient balance supports long-term hair health. Hair regrowth becomes sustainable when the underlying nutritional foundation is strong. This is why a complete micronutrient foundation is essential. It restores oxygen delivery, supports energy production, strengthens hair structure, activates follicles, and protects against damage. When this foundation is restored, hair follicles regain their ability to produce strong, healthy hair consistently. This is the true key to restoring hair regrowth and achieving thicker, stronger hair over time.